There's something nobody tells you about new beginnings. They tell you to dream, they tell you to believe, they tell you to take the leap. But they never tell you how lonely it feels after you have jumped. Because beginnings are strange. You leave behind the comfort of what you know, and for a while, you don't belong anywhere. Not where you came from, not where you are going. You're simply in between. And maybe that's why you are here. Maybe you are trying to build something, a dream, a business, a new life. Or maybe you are just trying to become someone you haven't met yet. And tonight, I want to talk about something we rarely admit. Not the excitement of beginnings, but the loneliness of them. Welcome back to Between Thoughts. Have you ever noticed how quiet it gets when you decide to change your life? You expect applause. Instead, there's silence. You start posting videos, nobody watches. You start writing, nobody reads. You start going to the gym, nobody notices. You start healing, nobody congratulates you. Because beginnings happen in empty rooms, and empty rooms can make you wonder if you are doing something wrong. And maybe the empty room isn't punishment, maybe it's preparation. Because some things need silence before they become something beautiful. There's a story about a Chinese bamboo tree. After planting the seed, nothing appears for a while. Not for months, not for years, but you keep watering it, keep taking care of it, you protect it. And for nearly 5 years, there is almost no visible growth. Then, suddenly, within a few weeks, it shoots up over 80 feet. People say the tree grew in 6 weeks, but it didn't. It grew in 5 years and 6 weeks because all those years, growth was happening underground. Roots were being built, strength was being formed, and maybe that's where you are right now, underground. Not failing, not forgotten, just growing where nobody can see you. Loneliness doesn't always come from having no people around. Sometimes it comes from being misunderstood. You tell people about your dream and they smile politely. You explain your ideas and they don't really get it. Not because they don't love you, but because they can't see what you see. And that's okay, because vision is often lonely. Noah built the ark before rain existed. Abraham walked without knowing the destination. And every artist, every writer, every entrepreneur, every dreamer has had moments where they have wondered, am I crazy? Maybe you're not crazy. Maybe you are simply early. There's a line from Finding Forrester, and I quote: "You write your first draft with your heart, you rewrite it with your head." Life works the same way. Most of us want certainty before we begin, but certainty rarely comes first. The first draft is messy. The first video is awkward. The first song sounds terrible. The first chapter is full of mistakes. The first step feels embarrassing, and yet nothing beautiful has ever been created without any ugly first draft. Maybe you are waiting for confidence, but confidence doesn't come before beginning. Confidence is what beginnings give you. Vincent van Gogh sold only one painting while he was alive. Just one. Not 100, not 1,000, but just one. He spent years painting in obscurity, years doubting himself, years wondering whether any of it mattered. And today his work hangs in museums and inspires millions. But he never got to see that, which raises a difficult thought. What if success isn't always immediate? What if some things are planted in one generation and blooms in another? Would you still create? Would you still try? Would you still believe? Those are hard questions, but perhaps they are the questions that matter the most. Steve Jobs, who said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backward." And here's my favorite quote from T.S. Eliot: "Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go." Maybe life isn't asking you to know everything. Maybe it's simply asking you to continue. Sometimes we think we are alone because we haven't found our people. But maybe they exist. Maybe they are just ahead of us. The friends who understand you, the audience that resonates with your work, the mentor you've been praying for, the community you belong in. Maybe they are waiting somewhere down the road. But roads only introduce us to people when we walk them, not while we are standing still. And perhaps that's why beginnings feel lonely. Because some companions can only be found by moving. I'm actually here at 2 a.m. in the morning, writing this down and speaking it out loud. And if you are listening to this at any point in time, if everyone around you seems ahead, if you are questioning yourself, if you are scared, if you are wondering whether your dream is foolish, I hope you hear this. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need a 5 year plan. You don't need perfection. You don't need permission. And certainly you don't need to arrive overnight. Life isn't a race, it's a journey, and journeys are meant to be walked slowly, patiently, one ordinary step at a time. Maybe that's the secret nobody tells us. The loneliness of beginning isn't evidence that you are lost, it's evidence that you are moving. Because every meaningful journey starts with uncertainty. Every masterpiece begins with a blank page. Every song begins with silence. And every dream begins with someone brave enough to start before they feel ready. Perhaps one day you'll look back at this season of your life and smile. Not because it was easy, but because you kept going. And maybe, just maybe, the lonely beginning will become the story you tell others when they are afraid to begin. So until then, take your time, trust the process, and remember, you don't need to have it all figured out. After all, we are all just somewhere between thoughts.